You know those moments when someone asks what's wrong and you say nothing, but really everything's wrong? I had one of those moments today. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to feel your emotions and express them without being self-destructive or destructive to others in your relationships. When I got to my desk at work this morning, my husband called and he asked, I said, I'm okay. And he knew I was lying. But then I got a notification that reminded me to put things into perspective. We've been going through the home buying process here in Florida, and this isn't a video about how the housing market here has been dogged out by corporations and people who aren't from here. But the whole experience has been disappointing. We found a house that we wanted to be ours. But then a home inspection, some money exchange, and a 50-page report later, we don't think that it should be ours. Last night, scrolling through page after page of the report, each new cost crushed me under its weight, and my hope meter went from full to empty. Now, I didn't know how to express my disappointment at the time, so I started a destructive habit that I have. I started nitpicking at everything, from what was wrong in the apartment to the way that he was doing things to every little speck and spot on the wall. And by doing so, I isolated myself and caused harm to my husband and to my relationship by choosing isolation. Even into this morning, it continued when he asked how I was feeling, and I lied. I chose destruction over construction. I wasn't vulnerable. No? So you might say, how can I get rid of these emotions without hurting anyone? And the first step is to stop trying to get rid of any emotion that you have. The only reason that we think that we should get rid of any emotion is because there are certain things that as a society we've deemed negative, certain feelings that we've deemed negative. But feelings and emotions, none of them, even things like anger and sadness, they're not negative emotions inherently. But the way that we express them tends to be negative. So in turn, because we don't want to have the negative response to the emotions or the negative expression of the emotion, we try to get rid of them. So instead of experiencing the emotion, we try to get rid of it and not express it in a healthy way. A lot of the time, you probably also feel the need to suppress or push down an emotion, but the cost of suppression and negative expression can even come with physical health risks like headache, fatigue, tension, loss of sleep. And then the cost to your relationships is lack of intimacy, lack of closeness, separation. And no one in a healthy relationship wants isolation or wants separation from their partner. And last night, my chosen methods of expression, the nitpicking and the isolation, were all wrapped up in this nothing can touch me perfectionism persona, this loop that I've caught myself in for so many years. But I'm also making this video as accountability for me to remember to break the loop. I can stop. I can get off the carousel. And so can you. As a mental health professional, my philosophy is feel it, express it, move on from it. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to spend more time in that middle section expressing it than either of the other two. But sometimes the first one can overlap into the second one. One day, many, many years ago, after I had just finished complaining about a recurring problem for the 100th time to one of my friends, I was apologizing because I didn't want to be a burden. And what she told me next has always stuck in my mind, and it's how I try to live my life. She said, people talk about things until they stop bothering them. And no matter how long it takes for it to stop bothering you, I'm going to keep listening. And that moment taught me the importance of expression. But it would take years for me to actually learn how to express in a healthy way. So what's the actual solution? Well, this is my 4-step method. Number 1, stop and breathe. Most importantly, oftentimes when you're experiencing an extreme or unfamiliar emotion, we forget to breathe, especially if there's physical things happening at the same time, like you're crying. Oftentimes we forget to breathe. So breathe. Number 2, check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? And if you don't have words or can't quite pinpoint the way that you feel, use an emotion wheel. There's quite a few different versions out there, but pick one with the words on it that you feel express most accurately how you are feeling in that moment. Number 3, ask yourself, what can I do about this feeling? Is the cause or the trigger of it something that I can control? Can I do something differently? If you can't, that's still okay. And step 4 applies whether you can or can't do anything about your trigger. Finally, express constructively. Express in a way that builds and not breaks. If you're a person who likes to talk, then talk it out with someone, especially if someone has asked you how you're feeling. Be honest with them. Share that moment of vulnerability and intimacy with them and build that relationship. If you're a person who likes to talk but no one's available at the time, make a voice memo in your phone. Every phone has a voice memo app these days. I used to do it all the time. Even at one point, I had a friend that we would share voice memos or voice messages back and forth, just spouting off what was bothering us and how we were feeling. And there was no expectation for either of us to respond to the other person's voice message. We knew that we were just talking it out and working out our feelings. It also helped us to know that we weren't alone and that somebody else cared enough to let the other one blow up their phone with voice messages. You can also express through movement, through writing, drawing, through even playing music, even blasting music. Oftentimes, I pace when I'm trying to work out how I'm feeling or even just problem solve. But all of these ways of expression that I've mentioned are all building. They're all constructing. They're building up instead of tearing down. When you're doing something creative like drawing or playing music, you're building your creativity. When you're moving in a way that maybe you're working out, you're building up your body, you're building up your muscle, you're building up your health. When you're talking it out with someone, you're building that relationship. So, what emotion are you trying to get rid of today? Or what emotion have you tried and failed to get rid of? Have you ever tried any of these methods of expression? Do they work for you? If they don't, let me know in the comments, and we can workshop some more things to do. And if they do work, tell me which ones work. And remember, just because you're experiencing an emotion that feels ugly doesn't mean that you're ugly or that you have to express it by making someone else feel ugly.